Hello friends, welcome to Diksha Classroom. In the last few days, we have been discussing various questions from NTA NET examination which was conducted in the months of September, October and November in the last year. So far, we have discussed the questions from communication, higher education, logical reasoning and mathematical reasoning and the teaching aptitude as well. So today we are going to discuss some of the questions from the topic communication. So let's move to the first question. So the first question is find out the correct sequence of selectivity stages in mass communication. So when we get or when we see the question at first, we have to read the question very carefully. So the question is find out the correct sequence of selectivity stages in mass communication. So here we need to find out the correct sequence. Here we in this question we need to find out the correct sequence related to stages in mass communication. And we have given 5 stages like exposure and retention and attitudinal change and perception and attention. Out of these 5 stages, we need to rearrange or we need to arrange the correct sequence of stages in mass communication. And we have given some options. The option 1 says the correct sequence is A, B, C, E and D. And option 2 says the sequence is B, C, D, E and A. And option third says like C, E, D, A and B. And the last option, the order is A, E, D, B, C. And we need to select or we need to find out the correct sequence from the following options or from these 4 options. So if you have known the answer, you can comment the answer, or if you want more time, you can pause the video and later you can comment the answer. So here we are going to check the answer. So the answer is option 4. The order is A, E, D, B and C. This is the stages or the correct sequence of stages in mass communication. So in this question, for answering, we need to understand the concept mass communication. Without knowing or without have the information related to mass communication, we cannot answer this question. So first of all, what is mass communication or what do you mean by mass communication? So we know that we have studied it in our classes. So the mass communication means in mass communication there will be one speaker or there will be speaker and there will be large number of audiences. So here we need to understand in mass communication there will be large number of audience and the speaker or the talk person convey the message to the large number of audience, and in among audience the one person do not have the knowledge or information about who is sitting next to her or next to me or next to them, like they don't have information, they don't have any kinds of knowledge related to who is sitting the next. So there will be large number of unknown audience, and the mass here the question is related to we need to identify the stages and the order or the correct sequence of selectivity stages in mass communication. And we know that in order to answer the question, we want to know about what is exposure. So what is exposure? Exposure means there will be some of the informations, there will be the informations or knowledge or concepts, like there will be many kinds of the information, and for exposuring we have to find what are the information relevant to us, what are the information important to us. And the retention, we know that holding that information or storing the information what we want. And the attitudinal change, we know that attitude is changing according to the different circumstances or according to the different information, our attitude will be changed. and the perception. Perception, we know about that perception. Perception means nothing but how we interpret something, or how we look at a thing, or how we give meaning to a particular thing. So the perception is like that. And attention, we know that we want to pay the attention to something, or we need to pay the attention, or we need to be focused a particular thing that we need to achieve. So the attention also, we have known the information related to these stages. After knowing these informations on, after understanding the concept of these stages, we need to rearrange, we need to correct the sequences of stages in mass communication. And we know that the first one is exposure. So among the many kinds of information, the information what is we need to identify the information what is relevant to us, what is important to us. So that is exposure. And when we identify the information which is relevant to us, then next one is attention. The second one is attention. We need to focus more on that topic, that is attention. Then after exposure and attention, we want to, the stage 3 is perception. The information we are giving our focus to that. After that, we need to perceive that, we give an meaningful interpretation to that relevant information. And the next one is, fourth one is retention. That information we want to store, or we want to hold that. The last one is attitudinal changes. So after this process, after these stages, when we go through these stages, automatically, or the result will be the attitudinal change of us. Our attitude will be changed. These are the stages in mass communication, or we can say that these are the correct sequence of selectivity stages in mass communication. I hope you have understood this concept. We can move to the next question. So the next question is, when the classroom communication is circular, the teacher encoder will be A or N. So once again, the question is related to classroom communication. We have said earlier there will be lot of questions from the topic of classroom communication. In this question also related to, or in this question also about to classroom communication. When the classroom communication is circular, the teacher encoder will be A or N. And we have given 4 options. First one, active decoder. The teacher encoder will be active decoder, or whether the teacher encoder will be a passive observer, or whether in a classroom communication is circular, whether the teacher encoder will be a negative receiver, or whether the teacher encoder will be a restive coder. So we need to be identified which, when the classroom communication is circular, the teacher encoder will be whether it is active decoder, or passive observer, or negative receiver, or restive coder. We need to identify that. So let's move to the answer. So the answer is active decoder. So we need to, in order to answer this question, we need to find the concept of classroom communication. We know that the communication inside the classroom is known as classroom communication, and the classroom communication is circular. We know that what is circular communication, or when a communication will be called as a circular communication. We know that circular means that communication is circulating, that is rounding. Like we know that how to start a communication process. We know that from the side of a sender, when sender send a message, the communication will be started. Sender send a message to a receiver, and sender, and there is encoding. After that, message will be decoding, and it will be reached to receiver. And when the receiver gives feedback to the sender, and the receiver again, and when receiver gives feedback, then it will be encoding, and it will be again reached to the sender. And when a receiver gives feedback to the sender and the sender encoding that message, and it will be known as a circular communication. So the sender starts the message and again that message reached to the side of sender from the part of receiver as a feedback. So it is called as circular communication. It is called as circular communication because it is circulating. It is circulating. Sender, then message, then receiver, then feedback. So sender encode, here there is a process encoding, here the process decoding, sender encoding the message, and the message will be decoded and the receiver will receive the message, and receiver gives feedback and it will be encoded and it will reach to the sender. So it is circulating. So when the classroom communication is circular, the teacher encoder will be, we can say that it is a active decoder. So we know that when a classroom communication will be, or when the classroom communication will circulate, so we know that the classroom communication will be circulating when the receiver or the students gives feedback to the teacher. Okay, when the receiver or the students inside the classroom gives feedback to the teacher, we can say that there is a circular classroom communication. So in this process, the teacher is an active decoder. The receiver is encoding the message and it will be reached to sender, that is in teacher, in the side of teacher, and the teacher will be active decoder. So we can say that when the classroom communication is circular, the teacher encoder will be an active decoder. I hope you have understood this concept, and if you have any doubts or if you want to get more clarification, you can comment your doubts. We will be clarified soon. Okay, so the next question is, semantic noise in classroom communication can be limited by avoiding the use of. Once again, the question is related to classroom communication, and the semantic noise in a classroom communication can be limited by avoiding the use of. We have given 4 options. First one, dialogues, and second one, cliched jargons, and third one, non-verbal cues, and fourth one, multimedia. So out of these 4 options, we need to find out which among of these, when we avoid which of these, it will help to limit the semantic noise in a classroom communication. We need to find out that. So let's check the answer. It is an easy question. We can answer it very easy manner because it is one of the easy and simple question. Semantic. So in order to answer this question, we need to find out the concept of semantic noise. And what do you mean by semantic noise? Do you know about semantic noise? So the semantic noise means when a sender communicates his or her ideas to the receiver, and the receiver cannot get the concept what exactly the sender sent. In this kind of situations, we can say that it is a part of semantic noise. Semantic noise means when a communication process, like we can say that when a receiver cannot get the exact meaning what the sender has intended. In this situation, that is called as semantic noise. It will be happen when the unclarity in messages, and when the receiver don't have much vocabulary or the meaning of words what the sender has said earlier. So like unclarity in messages and other things also leads to semantic noise. So in this question, we need to find out. We have given 4 options, that is dialogues, cliched jargons, and non-verbal cues and multimedia. Out of these four options, and when we avoid which among that, and it will lead to limiting semantic noises in classroom communication. We need to find out that. So the answer is cliched jargons. We know that cliched jargons means we have known about the cliched jargons. Jargons means some of the group have a specific code, and that the meaning of that codes in that the persons in that group only have known about the meaning of that codes, especially the police, the department of police using some jargons. The people outside the department of police will not be understood that jargon, that codes what the department of police has used, like cliched jargons. When we avoid these kinds of cliched jargons, we can limit semantic noise in classroom communication. When we avoid cliched jargon, we can limit semantic noises in classroom communication. And dialogues, we should not avoid the dialogues. We should motivate to provide to do that dialogues between the students and teachers. We have to motivate the dialogues. And non-verbal cues also important. We should not avoid non-verbal cues. We need to enhance that non-verbal cues inside the classroom. And multimedia, we know that we have to use different medias, songs, audios, videos, like cartoons. Multimedia we have to use to enhance the efficiency in classroom communication, and we should not be avoided the multimedia programs. So in this question, answer is very clear. It is a simple question, cliched jargons. In order to limit semantic noises in classroom communication, we have to be avoided the cliched jargons. So look to the next question, and this question, it is dynamics of efficient communication in a classroom includes. The question is again related to classroom communication. The dynamics of efficient communication in classroom includes, and we have given 6 features, like first one teacher centric listening, and next one promotion of one-way action, and third one ignoring students inhibitions, and the fourth one balancing interactive and static elements, and fifth one brainstorming procedure, and the last one understanding learners sociometry. Out of these 6 features, which are helps to efficient communication in classroom, we need to find out what are the features helps to efficient communication in a classroom. And we have given 4 options. Option A only 1, 3 and 4. Option B only 2, 4 and 6. Option C only 1, 3 and 6. And option D only 4, 5 and 6. If you have the answer, you can comment the answer. Let's move to the answer now. So the answer is only 4, 5 and 6. The last third features will be helpful to enhance efficient communication in a classroom. We know that. Let's check how the balancing interactive and static elements helps to efficient communication, or how the brainstorming procedures are helpful to increase the efficiency in communication in the classroom, how the understanding the learner sociometry helpful to increase the efficient communication in classroom, and why not the teacher centric listening, why not promotion of one-way action, why not helpful to increase the efficiency in a classroom communication. We needed to be find out that. So when we check that first one, the teacher centric listening, so in a classroom, that classroom should not be a teacher centric or student centric. The both teacher and students should have roles. Both teacher, there will be a parity between the teacher and student, and the classroom communication will not be a teacher centric. Teacher have the more roles with respect to while comparing to the students, but still teacher it should not be a teacher centric process. Okay, so the teacher centric listening will not affect the efficient communication. It will be negatively effect towards the efficient communication in a classroom. So the teacher-centric listening does not include, it's not called as a dynamics of a efficient communication in a classroom. And the next one, promotion of one-way action. So like what we said that just earlier, like teacher-centric listening, the promotion of one-way action also will not be motivated, because a classroom, especially a communication or the classroom communication, will not be a one-way action. Teacher simply saying something and students are just listeners. The classroom communication should not be like that. The teacher has some roles as well as the students. At the same time, students has some of the other roles. When teacher communicates to the students also get to fight against the teacher, or students also to get a chance to give feedback or their opinions to the topics what teacher has taken in the classroom. So the promotion of one-way action will not be say as dynamics of a efficient communication in a classroom. And ignoring students inhibitions. Ignoring students inhibitions is not a good thing, or ignoring students constraints are not good things. We should address students inhibitions and students constraints. We have to be addressed that we should not be ignored. When we ignore students inhibitions and constraints, it will not be treated as a dynamics of a efficient communication in a classroom. And the fourth one, balancing interactive and static element. So we can say that in a classroom communication, teacher should use a balancing interactive and static elements. We can say that there should be a static elements, the pitch. There will be a teacher should use the same pitch for explaining some topics. Teacher should use same pitch, and there should be an interactive elements, like teacher has to be changed his or her volume and pitch, and teacher should interact the students. Teacher should seek the opinions. Teacher should seek that teacher should provide the facilities to debates among the students. The students should get the facilities or the opportunities. Students should get the opportunities to speak to the teachers, to give or to present their opinions to teachers. And like there should be balance the interactive elements and the static elements in the classroom. There should be a balancing. There should be a balancing between interactive elements and static elements in a classroom communication. And when a teacher balancing that interactive and static elements in a classroom, we can say that it will helps to enhance efficiency in communication inside the classroom. And the fifth one, brainstorming procedures. While talking about brainstorming procedures, it is one of the most important feature, because for enhancing classroom communication or enhancing efficiency in a classroom communication, there will be brainstorming procedures. Brainstorming procedure, we know that the ideas we are collecting from students, because teacher does not have more ideas, but the students have the more ideas, because they are thinking differently. They have a different they are different to each other, and the students are different, and each and every students have different opinions or different views towards something. So when a teacher facilitating brainstorming inside the classroom, there will be loads of ideas. There will be generating loads of ideas will be generating in the classroom. Students will give their own ideas, and the teacher can collect lots of ideas, and these ideas are helpful to enhance the classroom discussions, and it will be efficient. It will also treated as a dynamics of efficient communication in the classroom. And the last one, the understanding learner sociometry. We know about the sociometry. Sociometry means how a person behave in the society, the interpersonal skills of a person. Like understanding the learner's sociometry is also important. When a teacher understands the learner's sociometry, it will be helpful to enhance efficiency of the classroom communication. So we can say that the options or the features fourth, fifth, and sixth, like balancing interactive and static elements, brainstorming procedure, and understanding learner sociometry are the dynamics of efficient communication in a classroom. So I hope you have understood the concept. So we can move to the last one. The chronological sequence in the development of communication system is. So this question, when we get the question, we read the question very carefully. The question is related to, once again, the sequence and the order. We need to find out the chronological sequence or the chronological order with respect to development of communication system. So we need to find out the chronological sequence with respect to development of communication system. So we have given 5 features like emergence of language and cave paintings and interpersonal communication and appearance of printing technology and telecommunication system. So out of these 5 things, we have to, it is not in a correct order, it is not in a correct sequence, and these are the stages with respect to development of a communication system. These 5 things: emergence of language, cave paintings, interpersonal communication, appearance of printing technology, telecommunication system. These are the stages in the development of communication system, but these options we have given not in a chronological sequence. So we want to rearrange these features or these things, and we need to rearrange these things in order to a chronological order. What comes first, which one comes first, and which come next, and which come the last, like the chronological sequence or the chronological order. We needed to be find out the chronological order in the development of a communication system. So if you have the answer, you can comment the answer. Let's check the answer now. So the answer is B. First one is B, cave paintings, and the next one is A, emergence of language, and the third one is C, interpersonal communication, and the fourth one is printing technology, and fifth one is telecommunication system. So we know that when we talking about history of a communication, or when we talking about the emergence of communication system, we know that first there were cave paintings. The people exchange their ideas or information to other person through that cave paintings. The people in that century, the people who lived in that century, they exchange information through the paintings in the caves, because the people were lived in caves, so they have painted the ideas and information what they want to exchange to others. So we know that the cave paintings will come first, and the second one is emergence of language. After the cave paintings, there will be emerged the languages, so the people use the language. And the third one, we know that after the emergence of language, the people do the communication, like they will start the interpersonal verbal communication. They will be started with the help of that language. And later we know that the printing technology comes to this place, and people, those who want to exchange their information, who want to transfer the information, they have started the printing, and printing copies has transferred to many persons. And later we know that telecommunication system has introduced it. So we need not to be printed the copies to exchange our information. We can just call to other person to exchange our information. And now there will be more advanced communication system. But this, out of these 5 system, we can say that cave paintings was first. After that, the emergence of language, then interpersonal communication, then appearance of printing technology, and the last one, telecommunication system. These are the chronological sequence in the development of a communication system. So these are the questions we have discussed today. I hope you all are understood this concept, the questions and answer. And if you have any doubt, you can comment your doubt. We will be clarified your doubt soon. So we can analyze some of the other question in coming session. Thank you.